Hello viewers, my name is Dr. Vijay Kumar, Assistant Professor of Statistics, St.Joseph College of Arts and Science, Autonomous Cuddalore. Today my subject title, Statistical Method for Computer Application 1. Subject code is 19 ASCS 31, Unit 4. Now I am presentation on probability. What is the probability? Probability is the chance that something will happen, how likely it is, what some events is happen. Sometimes you can measure a probability with a number like 10% chance of rain, or you can use words such as impossible, unlikely, possible, even, chance, likely, and certain. Some example, it is likely to rain tomorrow. This is for some basic concept of the probability. Another one is exhaustive events. The total number of all possible elementary outcome is a random experiment is known as exhaustive events. In other words, a set is said to be exhaustive when no other possibility exists. So favorable events, the elementary outcome which entail or favorable the happening of events is known as favorable events. That is the outcome which help in this occurrence of that event. What is the mutually exclusive events? So events are said to be mutually exclusive if the occurrence of events totally permanent occurs of all other events in this trial. In other words, two events A and B can occur simultaneously. So another one is equally likely or equiprobable events. Outcome are said to be the equally likely if there is no reason to exhaustive one outcome is occur in perform to another. It is among all the exhaustive outcomes, each of them has equal chance of this occurrence. So complementary events, let E denoted the occurrence of event. The complement of E does not the non-occurrence of events E. Complement of E is the denoted by E bar. The basic independence. What is the independent events? Two or more events are said to be independent in a series of a trial if the outcome of one event does not affect the outcome of the other events or vice versa. In other words, several events are said to be dependent if the occurrence of the events is affected by this occurrence of any number of remaining events in the series of trials. So next one is what is the measurement of probability? There are three approaches to construct a measure of probability of occurrence of events. They are classical approach, frequency approach, and Axiomov approach. There are three types is there. So classical and mathematical approach. In this approach, we assume that an experiment or trial result in one of the many possible outcomes, each outcome being problems or equally likely. Some definition is if a trial results in n exhaustive, mutually exclusive, equally likely and independent outcomes, and if m of them are favorable or the happening of the events E, then the probability P of occurrence of the events E is given by the P of E number of outcomes favorable events E divided by exhaustive number of outcomes. The empirical of statistical approach. The approach is also called the frequency approach of probability. Here the probability is obtained by this actual performing the experiment large number of times. As the number of trials n increases, we get more actual results. Some definition: they consider a random experiment which are a respectively large number of the time under the essential homogeneities and identical condition. If yes, n does not the number of the trials and m does not the number of trials and events a has occurred, then the probability of events a is the limiting value of the result frequency m divided by n. That is, m is favorable events, so n is a total number of events. So Axioma's probability in this approach was proposed by Russian mathematician A.N. Kolmogorov in 1933. Axioms are statements which are reasonable, true, and or accepted as such without the seeking or proof. Some definition: let capital S be the sample space associated with a random experiment. Let A be any events in S. Then the probability of A is the probability of occurrence of A if the following axiom are satisfied. So where A is any events, probability of A greater than 0. So P of A that is equal to 1. So probability of A union B that is equal probability of A plus probability of B. When events A and B are mutually exclusive, there are three types of probability. Theoretically, probability. The theoretical reasons, we assumed that all n possible outcome of a particular experiment are equally likely, and we assumed a probability up to each possible outcome. Some example: the theoretical probability of the rolling a 3 on or regular 6-sided dice is 1 divided by 6. The relative frequency interpretation of the probability. These are for a general function probability of events A, how many times A occurrence, how many whole divided by how many trials is there. The relative frequency is based on the observation or actual measurements. Some example: a dice is rolling at 100 times. The number 3 roll 12 times. The relative frequency of the rolling a 3 is 12 divided by 100. The next one is personal or objective probability. Thus are value between 0 and 1 or 0 and 100% assigned by this individual based on the how likely they think events are to occurrence. Some example: the probability of many being asked on a data for this week in this 10%. The probability rules with the example. These are for this basic concept of the probability rules. The probability on these events between 0 to 1, a probability of 1 is equal to 100% certainty. The probability can be expressed at fraction, decision, or presence. So 0 less than probability of A that is equal to 1. This is for this general probabilities. So these are for some examples for given below. It is also two events A and B. This means the occurrence of as impossible at this whether the B occurrence of Y is various than this probability at A and B occurrence is a production of these interval probabilities. These are for two events probability, and the fifth one is two events A and B mutually exclusive, meaning and cannot occurrence at the same time A B occurrences is given below. And the sixth one is if two events A and B are not mutually exclusive, the meaning it is possible at the A and B or at the same time. This is for sixth one is positive possibility at the A and B occurrence of the same times. These are for some function is here. Some example is there are two people in these rooms, 12 girls, 5 with bound hair, 7 with the blonde hair, the 8 boys, 4 with bound hair and with the brown hair. Here are the total of the 9 brown and 11 with the brown hair. One person for this group is changed randomly. These are for calculating for the 16 divided by 20. The seventh example is it is rolling a coin the 4 times at the probability of the getting at least one heads the 4 rollings. And the eighth one is this is for it is also basic concept of this probability. Thank you. Subscribe my channel, everyone. Thank you.